You've heard them at weddings, parties, and on the radio for decades. But do you know the forgotten stories behind these iconic disco anthems? Some of these one-hit wonders sold millions of records, then completely vanished from the music scene almost overnight. From a former adult film star's chart topper to a radio DJ who quacked his way to #1, these 10 disco gems capture exactly what America felt like in the 1970s. Platform shoes, mirror balls, and cultural revolutions included. The music industry would never see anything quite like this era again. #1. Turn the Beat Around, Vicki Sue Robinson. Remember when disco was king? It wasn't just the flashing lights or sequined outfits that made it special. It was unexpected stars like Vicki Sue Robinson who truly defined the era. Before becoming disco royalty, Robinson was actually a Broadway performer, appearing in the original cast of Hair and later in Jesus Christ Superstar. Talk about a career change. Her signature hit, Turn the Beat Around, almost never happened. The song was initially rejected by several producers who couldn't imagine its complex percussion and unusual structure working on dance floors. But Robinson's powerful vocals convinced RCA Records to take a chance, and boy, did it pay off. What made this track stand out was its revolutionary approach to disco. Instead of following the standard formula, Turn the Beat Around featured Latin-inspired percussion, intricate horn arrangements, and Robinson's theater-trained vocals soaring over everything. The song's unique structure, starting with that unforgettable bass line before exploding into its chorus, became its sonic signature. The music industry quickly took notice. The track climbed to #10 on Billboard's Hot 100 and dominated disco charts at #1 for weeks. Robinson even snagged a Grammy nomination for Best Female Pop Vocal Performance. Pretty impressive for a Broadway performer who stumbled into disco. #2, Ring My Bell, Anita Ward. Sometimes the most unforgettable disco moments came from the most unexpected places. While Robinson found fame through Broadway, Anita Ward was busy teaching Memphis school children until a suggestive disco track completely transformed her life. What makes Ring My Bell even more fascinating is that Ward was never supposed to sing it. The song was originally written by Frederick Knight for a much younger artist, but when that singer signed with another label, Ward inherited what would become her signature hit. The track's playful sound, driven by the innovative synth electronic drum, perfectly matched its suggestive lyrics that had listeners wondering whether they should blush or dance. Most chose to do both. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now back to the video. #3, Got to Be Real, Cheryl Lynn. While Anita Ward stepped back into the classroom, another disco sensation was taking her first steps into the spotlight from the most unlikely of places. A TV talent show many critics dismissed as pure cheese. In 1976, a young woman named Linda Cheryl Smith stepped onto the stage of The Gong Show, a program where contestants often got knocked off stage for terrible performances. Instead of hearing the dreaded gong, her powerful vocals left judges speechless and viewers mesmerized. That contestant would soon be known to the world as Cheryl Lynn, and her performance landed her something much more valuable than the show's trophy, a legitimate record deal. Working alongside accomplished musicians David Paich and David Foster, Lynn co-wrote her debut single, Got to Be Real, infusing the track with an authentic message about staying true in relationships. #4, I Love the Nightlife, Alicia Bridges. While Ray Parker Jr. was making musical magic with Cheryl Lynn, another artist was crafting a love letter to after-hours entertainment that would transcend its era in the most unexpected way. Ever wondered how a simple dance track from North Carolina became essential soundtrack material for drag performances worldwide? Alicia Bridges was just starting her music career when she co-wrote I Love the Nightlife with Susan Hutchinson in 1978. This energetic celebration of escapism perfectly captured what disco was all about. Dancing away your troubles under the spell of pulsing lights and thumping beats. The infectious chorus and irresistible rhythm struck a chord with clubgoers everywhere. sending the track soaring to number 5 on the Billboard Hot 100 while dominating the disco charts. Number 5, Disco Duck, Rick Dees and his cast of idiots. While Alicia Bridges was celebrating nightlife, another Memphis disc jockey was hatching what might be the strangest hit in disco history. In September 1976, Rick Dees created Disco Duck, a novelty song that would take America by storm. The premise was absurdly simple. A man begins quacking like a duck while dancing at a disco party. Who would have thought this ridiculous concept would become such a sensation? The song's success created one of music history's most ironic situations. Despite Disco Duck soaring to number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 in October 1976, Dees was actually fired from his radio job just for mentioning his own hit on the air. Talk about career sabotage by success. The ridiculous quacking didn't stop audiences from buying over 4 million copies of the single, and it even earned a People's Choice Award for Favorite New Song. Number 6, The Hustle, Van McCoy. While some one-hit wonders left us quacking, others actually changed how America moved. In early 1975, songwriter and producer Van McCoy visited New York's Adam's Apple nightclub and witnessed something that would inspire a musical revolution. Fascinated by patrons performing a dance called The Hustle, McCoy rushed back to the studio to capture its essence in musical form. Unlike most disco hits of the era, McCoy's creation didn't need a single lyric to dominate dance floors nationwide. That distinctive piccolo melody floating above the rhythmic groove created an instant earworm that perfectly embodied the spirit of disco. The instrumental masterpiece shot to number 1 on both the Billboard Hot 100 and Hot Soul Singles charts during summer 1975, becoming the soundtrack to a nationwide dance phenomenon. Number 7, More, More, More. Andrea True Connection. While Grammy winner Van McCoy was elevating disco instrumentals to new heights, another performer was blazing an entirely different path to disco stardom. Ever wondered what happens when an adult film actress finds herself stranded in Jamaica, with her earnings frozen by government restrictions? In Andrea True's case, the answer was simple. Create one of the most suggestive disco anthems of the decade. Born Andrea Mariah Truden, True had established herself in adult films before an unexpected detour launched her music career. During a commercial acting job in Jamaica, she suddenly couldn't transfer her earnings back to the United States due to strict government regulations. Rather than letting that money go to waste, True made a savvy decision. She hired producer Greg Diamond to help record a song locally. The result was More, 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 a pulsing disco track with an unforgettably suggestive hook. How do you like it? The song's breathy vocals and infectious beat quickly conquered dance floors across America, eventually reaching the coveted number 1 spot on Billboard's Hot 100 in 1976. What made this achievement remarkable wasn't just the catchy production. It represented one of the most unusual career transitions in music history. Number 8, Play That Funky Music, Wild Cherry. While Andrea True found her disco success through financial necessity, another artist's journey to the top of the charts involved an identity crisis that would change music history. The year was 1976, and Wild Cherry's rock career was on life support. This Ohio band was watching venues slip away as disco fever swept across America, forcing them to play in clubs where their hard rock sound fell flat, with dance-hungry crowds. One night during a set at the 2001 Club in Pittsburgh, a frustrated audience member shouted the request that would change everything. "Play some funky music, white boy." For frontman Rob Parisi, it was an unexpected spark of inspiration. In just 5 minutes, between sets, he scribbled down lyrics that embraced the band's uncomfortable situation with surprising self-awareness. Number 9, Don't Leave Me This Way, Thelma Houston. Sometimes musical magic happens when a song finds its destined performer, even after being rejected by a superstar. While Diana Ross was busy turning down what would become a disco classic, Thelma Houston was quietly waiting for her big break. Having started her career in the 60s and signed with Motown in the early 70s, Houston had been struggling to make her mark in the competitive music industry. When she finally got her hands on Don't Leave Me This Way, Houston transformed the track with her powerful, emotion-filled vocals. The songwriting team of Kenny Gamble, Leon Huff, and Carrie Gilbert had crafted something special. A perfect balance of raw emotional vulnerability with an irresistible disco beat that made you want to dance through your heartbreak. Houston's passionate delivery of lyrics about anxiety and heartache struck a chord with listeners everywhere. The emotional depth she brought to the track propelled it straight to #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 in April 1977, finally giving her the breakthrough moment she'd been waiting for. Number 10, Armed and Extremely Dangerous, first choice. While disco tracks were conquering dance floors with feel-good vibes, a remarkable trio from Philadelphia was pioneering something entirely different. Years before disco fully dominated the music scene, first choice, Rochelle Fleming, Annette Guest, and Wardell Piper stepped into the spotlight with a track that functioned more like a public service announcement set to music. Their 1973 debut single, Armed and Extremely Dangerous, wasn't your typical feel-good dance song. Instead, it served as a musical warning about a heartbreaker on the loose, creating what might be the first disco-era wanted poster with a beat. The storytelling approach was revolutionary for early disco, with lyrics alerting listeners to watch out for a man who'd leave your heart in pieces. The trio's powerful vocal delivery, combined with the Philadelphia soul sound, crafted by songwriters Alan Felder and Norman Harris, created something special that resonated far beyond dance clubs. The track climbed to number 28 on Billboard's Hot 100, while reaching number 11 on Hot Soul Singles. Impressive for a debut that broke conventional dance floor formulas.